it's all about understanding why you are fighting. Youth ana job, youth hata shule hawezi ingia, hakuna mahali hawezi rudi ocha juu pia ocha mazie hakuna do, mzazi pia anaumia, hakuna rent ndo hiyo, food itapatikanaje? It's all about understanding these problems. Alafu wakikama hapa nje wenye wanafaa kuwa wanadeal na hizi issue, it's not like they don't have the capacity to, they just don't want to. Okay, probably because hii do inafaa kuwa inafanya hivi ilitumika mahali na hataki ajulikane, aulizwe do ulipeleka wapi. That would mean he'll have to face the consequences of these actions. It's all about bringing justice to these people. Hata wenye wameuliwa because they're exposed to these things, they deserve the justice.
Hey there and welcome to Fanya Mambo Africa. This week, as of course we've told you, we're looking into the anniversary that is 1 year since the 2024 June protests that were of course called the famous Gen Z protests. In studio, I have one of the people who was very vocal back in 2024.
Still vocal.
Still vocal in 2025.
Yeah.
And not afraid and not stopping.
You're unstoppable.
Okay, fantastic. So I have Polo Kimani with me. Introduce yourself a bit to our followers who may not be on Twitter, because that's where you're loudest, I think.
Oh, yeah. My name is Kimani, Polo Kimani, but my real name is Kimani Williams. Young dad, entrepreneur. I don't know what to call the other one. Not an activist, but an active citizen.
Active citizen. I think that's actually the word for most people.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned it, why is it critical for citizens to be active, especially politically in matters governance?
I mean, for the longest time, majority of us have been trying to avoid that, going that route of following up what is happening in our politics, because politics is boring, to be honest. But everything we do, everything we eat, everything we everywhere we sleep, every car we use is involved in politics. Politics is in every aspect of our lives. Because come to think of it, maji unakunywa, who's providing it? Stima unatumia, who's providing it? Pesa unalipa ya stima iko juu because of what and what? That is politics. Yeah.
Okay. And you've said you're unstoppable.
Yeah.
Today being a day just before the 25th, what makes you say you're unstoppable, having seen what is happening in the country?
I mean, for me, myself, I don't mean myself I'm unstoppable, but this is what we have right now. And if you haven't noticed, this is a revolution. And most of the time, I say our coming could realize in the middle of a revolution until it has already passed. But this right here is a revolution. And the way things are, I don't know if you guys have noticed, we're in a continuous metamorphosis of processes. Okay? Like, for example, last year, we had different people at the forefront. This year, we have different people at the forefront. And the way things look, kila mtu anafanya part yake, anaondoka kwa stage, another person comes in with a different angle of shooting and continues to some certain extent, anaondoka kwa stage, na mwingine anaingia. So even the so-called abductions now, trying to look at who is the leader, who is leading this, it's totally pointless. It's something, it's an idea, it's a seed that has already been planted. And I don't think there's a way you can stop that, okay? Unless you listen to these people and listen to their demands. And the way things are looking right now, nobody's listening, eh? Wamesema kaende.
What is making you say, what would you point out to say that they're not listening? Because on the other hand, when they they speak, they're very particular. We listened, we asked them for things, they didn't show up, we have done this.
No, because we know they don't care. They're only doing it for the process of doing it to show that they did it. Okay? Because what we are demanding means they have to look into themselves and admit they have committed these nefarious sins. And that will lead them to jail. Or maybe even stoning if it has to reach that point. Okay? So the only thing they can do right now is deny. What we are demanding means these people have to be brought by the book. These people have to admit tulituma vijana wakaharibu biashara za wenyewe. Tulituma, we had our own militia of our few police 100 years. We sent them to the street to kill innocent protesters. They're not going to admit that, and we know it. But that doesn't mean we are going to stop. Let's see, unajua, the thing is, if you examine it carefully, watu wanasumbua hii nchi, it's not more than 500 people. And how many of us are here?
52 million last I checked.
52 million. Watu sotano watasumbua watu 52 million kweli? I think in the book Betrayal in the City, there's somewhere he says, we're not going to allow the madness of one man disturb a whole nation. And that is not what we are not going to allow.
Interesting perspective when you look at it like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So last year, you're one of the people who, during the demonstrations, were arrested.
Yeah, I was arrested.
You were, because we saw the videos.
Yeah.
When you remember, okay, maybe you can tell us how that whole fiasco was like. And now when you look at that and remember that you're getting to the streets again, how does it make you feel?
One interesting thing about being arrested is when we are arrested, the bad thing about not being arrested is you fear being arrested because you don't know what it looks like. But now that you've been arrested, ushapitia hiyo level ya fear, and you know where it extends to. Kupigwa rungu here and there, okay, and then what? But this is something I have to do. Okay? So hata kaa tulishikwa, we are not going to allow ourselves to be arrested again, especially by civilian cops who are not telling us why they are arresting us, despite the fact that what we are doing is allowed by the Constitution. Okay? And let me just make this clear. Our protest is a protest. Those who want to categorize it as a peaceful protest, well and good. Those who want to protest to categorize it as a not peaceful protest, well and good. But ours is a protest. However, how we are going to get feedback from the police is what is going to determine what side of the categorization we rely on. This is not a threat. This is what I'm just saying. This is what people have decided. If you're going to arrest me, you might as well arrest 52 million other people who have decided this is the way. Hakuna njia ingine.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you speak about the arrests and not allowing, especially the plainclothes officers to arrest you, and you said you're not going to allow, how are you going to prevent that? Not you, but generally. Like, how are people going to handle that?
Of course.
Because there are innocent protesters who actually have no idea how that goes on the other side.
What do you mean innocent protesters?
As in people maybe who are doing it for the first time. That's actually what I mean. Like, so that person is not well aware about street protests and how to handle themselves.
But the thing is, it's clear, it's everywhere. When these people arrest you, they are going to kill you. Trying to send a message so that they can put fear in other people, so they don't get the courage to go out and protest for their right. We are not going to allow that. Mimi hete unipigane, siwezi itikia unibebe hivyo, and I've done nothing. Simply because you are a cop. And the thing is, the police is what is preventing us from dealing with these rogue politicians. We have crooks, we have economic rapists, we have all sorts of people hiding behind the police. You have seen, what do you call him? Didmas Baraza. Was there any justice that was done to the family of the person he killed? Is there? There isn't, right?
I wouldn't want to comment on something that's still in court.
I mean, what do you mean in
Legally,
court? What we have is people hiding behind courts. Even the magistrates have been bribed. The judiciary is corrupted. Has Mother Kwame said anything?
Haven't followed up on that
No.
case as yet. So
Let me just say this. As Kenyans, our matako yetu, our needs do not just circle around Albert Ojwang being killed, remembering June 25th. Because to be honest, what is the need of remembering those who were killed last year? Well, others are still being killed this year. And others are going to be still killed. Hopefully not. What is the point? And the people committing these things have not been arrested, no, have not said anything. They're just walking out there freely like nothing has happened. This, our matako yetu in extend to these people being brought to justice. Okay? And they might call it anarchy, even they don't understand what anarchy is. Anarchy means a decentralized form of government. Okay? Where not one person has power like Ruto does right now. Okay? Where he cannot just wake up one day aseme nataka 1 billion ya kurenovate State House, nipatieni. These things have to be procedural, if there is a word like that. Okay? Lazima kukuwe na coordination from different departments. That is what anarchy is. Mzee anasema anarchy ni kuchoma nchi ni fala. And that is what we want. Such that msee hawezi amka hivi aseme tunataka loan ya 100 billion ama tunataka 108 billion for a healthcare system, and it's approved. Nobody's fighting that. That is what anarchy is. All right?
yes.
Thank you.
Technically, what you're saying is the systems do not work because laws are not passed by president. The president signs into law. What your MPs or our MPs have debated and agreed can be law.
Yeah.
So are you saying that Parliament, you do not trust Parliament?
I'm
essentially?
saying the president is drafting the law and telling the MPs to approve it. This is what I've decided. You guys are in my pocket, sign this and this. Just like that. And the MPs, the ones supposed to be our representatives, are saying nothing. Nobody is saying anything. Because they'll say they have been threatened, but to be honest, ni pesa wamepatiwa. They have the wamepatiwa hiyo karaiti ya kujiongeza mshahara kwa hizo mabills zao whenever they feel like, and nobody is going to not agree with it. That is what we have. And there's something called a transitioning council. If, as we have said, if we are to succeed before even 2027, because me and you both know 2027 is a setup. Ruto has already ameshajipanga proper. They have clearly said it, tutaongeza yetu. If before that we succeed, we should have a transitioning council.
What is your success in this
My success,
scenario? Yeah, what is your definition of the success you're talking about?
that we get justice, that we are not just people who are being taxed for nothing, that those people doing these acts are brought to justice. Okay? Either constitutionally or by the sovereignty of the people. You ask me, what does sovereignty of the people mean?
It is good to define. I know that's the chapter 1 of the Constitution says all power belongs, but it would be good to hear the sovereignty, how that would work, how you see it working.
Ni mob justice too, Rosafi. We have won them. Whatever is happening now is as a consequence of their actions. Last year, between June last year and this June, they have had a whole 369 days to think over their actions. Are they doing anything? Has anything been changed? No. It's that bad. Nobody wants to listen. Because them listening means they have to surrender everything, every little penny they have stolen. Okay? Look at people like Mudavadi. Mudavadi is a billionaire, right?
Of course.
What business does he own? Nothing. A billionaire in Kenya is supposed to have like 10,000 workers, employees on his payroll. But these are the kind of people. These people get money from tenders, political kungunis. Because there's nothing they have done for even where they come from, yet they say they represent these people. Wanasema mimi ni mtu wenu. Wewe mtu wetu wapi bana? These people, they are not going to surrender because they are not going to comment anything, because them commenting or listening to us means they have to surrender all these things they have stolen. And a transitioning council is supposed to do these things these people are not going to do. All right? That is just my sentiments.
Okay.
Yeah. Najua na sound radical sana, but it has to be that way.
I'm not even sure if it's a radical. I think now we misinterpret the meaning of radical because it can be positive. You can be radicalized positively or negatively. So I think the misuse of the word made it sound like being radical is a bad thing.
It's
Technically,
not a bad
it's
thing.
not. I mean, especially if it's on the positive side.
Absolutely.
But when you look at June, whatever took people to the streets last year, was it worth it? 1 year down the line, when you look at what has happened.
Oh, every single moment of this process is worth it. Even what I tell people, ukiangalia ile story ya pale Bangladesh, it didn't just start one day and people decided like that. It's been a whole 2018 to 2024. It's been a whole 6 years. It's a process of learning and unlearning and strategizing and re-strategizing. Okay? This thing doesn't have a specified period it's supposed to take. Revolutions sometimes takes decades, centuries. So every moment has been worth it. That is just what I have to say. Whatever happened last year is something to learn from, so that it can be used as a stepping stone in the next move that we are going to make. And sometimes we don't even make moves. We just find ourselves there. Now we have to deal with what we have. Yeah.
Part of, the key thing that pushed people to the streets last year was actually the finance bill.
Yeah.
When you look at what Parliament has done with that 2024 bill, do you really feel we achieved the goal?
I mean, by what, from what aspect?
By virtue of there were so many things people were saying no to, but just the other day, Kimani Ichung'wah said we passed everything. That maybe 98% of what took you to the streets, and it was quiet and nothing happened.
So what are you asking? Are you saying?
So do you feel it was worth in that aspect, like achieving the goal of saying no to a finance bill, besides the president coming and cancelling, then maybe months later it's passed in phases?
I mean, we did what we had to at that moment. It was worth it. I won't say our efforts were for nothing. Like I said, whatever happened last year will be used as a stepping stone for us in the next process of our revolution. So it was totally worth it.
We're going to the streets tomorrow, of course, most
Absolutely.
Kenyans. I don't know. How are you looking at that, and what would you say is the goal for this particular one? Because last year it was defined. It was reject finance bill. This year, what would you say is the key definition?
The way it is, and I won't lie to you, it's not just about, even last year, there was the finance bill, but me and you know it wasn't just about the finance bill. There were deeper issues in it. than just the finance bill. But it wasn't properly conveyed. That's why ilikuwa rahisi kukua suppressed kidogo. So finance bill, nini ingine mnataka? Ndio ilifanya hata watu wakae ni kama wako wasumbufu. But tomorrow is about these people who have been killed by police. These people who are hiring goons to, and I wouldn't, calling them goons is quite an armchair, it's quite an armchair observation. Because when you look at these are unemployed young men. Wase wamelose hope na maisha. Juu hakuna job, hakuna haezi ingia chuo imekuwa expensive, haezi do anything. So these are just drug-infused young men. Akipatiwa 100 bob anasema iko sawa, hii nikitafuta ndoo mbili, niko sawa, ndasikia niko fiti. These are not goons. These are helpless young youth. So these people using these helpless young youth to beat up, to kuharibu biashara za Kenyans who are also surviving. These people must be dealt with. And to be honest, there is this problem. We can remember all we want. We can remember the June 25th all we want. But with Ruto up there, Ruto is the enemy. And Ruto is not just alone. Him and his people, those who are benefiting from his tyranny, because that is what it is right now, tyranny. Our say lazima wakuwe dealt with. And they are hiding behind the police. Okay? So itafika point, because what you saw last protest is people now realized, kume mazee wase wanatuchapa kaa watoi ati juu tumesema tuko peaceful. We are going there as peaceful protesters, okay? But it doesn't mean we are not going to defend ourselves. You hire your goons, let's see if you can hire 10 million goons. Okay? So we are not going to just remember those who were killed, because more are being killed and more are still getting abducted. And the other day I saw bodies recovered in Rivayala. Do you understand the position we are in right now? We are this close to getting to where Bangladesh was, because ilifika mahali Bangladesh was a shithole. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Bangladesh was a shithole. Mazeni place mnafika hivi it was a real ghetto. And we cannot afford to get to that point, because as it is right now, Kenya ni place poa sana. Mseka mimi sitaki kwenda majuu. Naenda majuu kufanya nini? Kupigana na racism, na niko na place yangu hapa fiti. Kenya, if we had people pulling the right strings, people listening to us, people who actually cared, tutakuwa place poa sana. People who, we are even in a point, mazi hata tuko mefika point tunasema, basi tunajua mnaiba, but acheni kupeleka doma juu. Ileteni hapa, irudi kwa economy, tupate angalau hata tusilale nja. They don't want that. These are greedy bastards who have decided to ban this country. And the thing is, for peasants like me, and sons of peasants, other sons of peasants out there, nchi ikianguka tunaangukanga nayo wa kwanza. Sisi tuna live hand to mouth like stray dogs. Wase washa secure future yao, washajenga apartments South Africa, washanunua apartments London, wako renting sasa. These are people who have secured their future and their kids' future. So wakipileji country, living it with nothing, sisi ndo tunarudi ocha wa kwanza. Alezi kuna wale kidogo watasurvive 4 months watufuate, but that is just it. Okay? So these people, we really need to understand the situation we are in. If nothing is done, if people don't stand up and say we are tired of these people, itakuwa noma sana. We are this close to falling to that tunnel. Okay? Juu wase hata ukicheki kuna deni zinachukuliwa. We are paying for debts that never benefited us. Debts that never reached us. Ndio maana stima sahi unit moja. How much is a unit right now?
I would need to check. I haven't bought it now. How much?
100, but I think
50.
So 50 bob.
last month for 100 is going to pay 4.9.
So around 50 bob.
Within 3 weeks.
So unit more than 25.
Yeah, he said it's here. He said 2 units for 100 bob.
So one is 50
So that's
bob.
50 bob,
Mi najua ya maji nalipanga unit moja 180 bob. Maza imagine na naishi Kiambu kule kuna nyeshanga almost every day. Maji Mungu anatupatia unalipa 180 bob per unit. These are the consequences of debt that were taken on our behalf. Hii do hata tungepatiwa kidogo turudishe kwa economy, to resupply business, tulipe hata tununue hata kani, hata kani ka 50 by 100. We'd have something in our name, but now we have nothing. And we're still paying for this debt. Na wase wanalipa, wanatuambia sisi tunaenda maandamano na Uber. That is the only thing they are seeing from our protest. Gaslighting us, pro-bucks. Okay?
Why do you think the government, I don't know, never gets to understand why people are protesting? Does the question make sense?
Yes, they do. Si ati hawajui. But what you are protesting against is what they are in the government to do. These people are not here to provide us with free education, affordable business. They're not there for that. Wanasemanga kwa serikali kukula. That's why you even heard them saying at some point in this mafala fulani wakisema kwa nini amku amnalia Uhuru akiwa kwa government. Timwache hata huyo amaliza ende. These people are here to eat. These people are here to build their dynasties and they live. You want to check in a span of maybe from 2013 to 2024. That is like 11 years. Ruto net worth yake imepanda mbaya sana. Net worth yao the people is appointing in those parastatals kule Kenyan nini imepanda sana. And he has shares in these parastatals. His appointing is ninism. It's a whole cartel of leeches.
Okay, I know Kenya, of course, is governed by the constitution. So using that constitution, how do Kenyans use it to fix, because technically it's a systematic, it's like it's a web. So how then do Kenyans fix this web, or maybe break it and build a new web, if there is something like that?
It's simple. Tunafanya zile tunaitanga audit. In the last 10 years, huyu msee akiingia hapa alikuwa na 100k kwa account. Kumeendaje saa hii ako na mashamba Bomet nini? What is the ukinunua legitimately? Msee kawe unafaa kuwa na process, unasema hapa nilifanya na hii deal. Hapa nilitoa hii pesa bikakuja nikatengeneza hii na. These people can't show anything. Account inaonyesha tu one day received 200 million. Akanunua apartment Dubai. Hii 200 million itoka wapi? These things are traceable. It's not rocket science. And the constitution is very clear. The law is very clear. What we need is just somebody who is willing to step on this head and say, sasa nyinyi mtaingia kwa laini. And that must happen. Hatuna otherwise, maze. Yeah.
Okay. Last week and the other week, there were demonstrations, of course, after the death of Albert Ojwang. And of course, this led to a lot of protests and police brutality. And that I witnessed because I was in the streets. In Kasarani, a young girl was killed. People protested. another person was killed by the police. Yesterday, there was a report by IPOA that 20 people have died in police custody in the last 2 weeks. Why do you think our police have become very violent? And why the brutality on Kenyans generally? Like, what's the problem? And how do we reverse that?
Police are doing what they are seeing their, what do you call him? Chief of Command Forces, Ruto. They're only following what he's doing, okay? And they might say even IPOA has nothing to do. IPOA is just a toothless dog giving statements like UN, we are observing, we are investigating and nonsense like that. These people are only doing that because they have seen, because they're under the protection of the chief murderer himself, the president. There's no other explanation. Or either they're also tired, because hata polisi saa zingine miuka, I've some few people I talk to, polisi, nauliza sasa shida yenu kwa nini? Unasema ati mimi nimechoka. Unasikia the next day jamaa amepiga mtu ridhe. Umechoka aje na unapigana risasi? These people, I think their IQ also needs to be examined. I'm not sure I understand what is going on in their heads, but they feel like they have now this, they have the carte blanche, the authority to do so without getting punished. Watasema nilikuwa na neutralize maandamano. Jua wase mazee staki waanze kuprotest prezo wetu waende. Prezo akisikia hivyo ata-prosecute kweli. Atasema achilieni huyo jamaa. They are doing so under the protection of the president. Nothing more, nothing less.
How do you think or feel the digital act? Okay, previously people used to do Kamukunji, zile, like a politician is coming to Kamukunji grounds, address people and that. Now with digital transformation, that has shifted. I can comfortably go to Twitter, start a space, and I have people to address.
Absolutely.
How do you think the digital activism has changed the political space? And do you think politicians understand how powerful this tool that is digital space is?
Oh, they don't. They totally don't get it. I think for them to get it, it will take them another 5 years. Because hata unasikia fala akisema regulate social media. How are you even going to do that? How are you going to regulate X? X hawana office Kenya. How are you going to regulate? The only thing you can do that, the only way you can do that is maybe calling SAF uambie wazime access ya a platform like X. But we have VPNs. They don't understand it. And the truth is, zile unaitaka mkunji, hizo already zilikuwa corrupted. Kitambo. Hao ni wase wanakuwa bribed na MCA, wajifanye wanabonga, nini. It was just, they were just doing it for protocol, nothing else. The digital space imechange politics, design hatari sana. And I'm thankful it's here. But also it doesn't mean it's just on the digital space. David one time called us digital wankers. Yeah, hata yeye haelewi. Despite being the prime economist and all that nonsense. These people, it's a game changer. Hakuna msi ana control the narrative, na unaleta uongo, unapigwa counter na fact.
How will it influence the 2027 election? Holding all factors constant.
By holding all factors constant, you mean kuna possibility to fike 2027, eh?
Yeah, as far as I know, I understand Kenya runs through a constitution, and the constitution says the next election is in 2027.
But also there was an argument, 2026 is where the 5 years end.
That's a case in court. So until it's determined, we can't.
Okay.
Yeah, but how will this digital politics influence awareness influence the 2027 election, in your opinion?
I mean, Sai, it's all about facts. It's all about why are we voting for you? If it reaches to that point, why are we voting for you? Wapi track record yako? Sasa msi analeta story na tribalism. Ati mimi ni wa Mount Kenya, mimi ni wa Kisii, so Kisiis have to vote for me. What do you mean? Hiyo ni story iliisha kitambo. And one thing happened, and these people don't understand it. This is a totally whole generation. Mzee kuniambia ati ni hate. Ati Luos wanajifanya sana. Yes, I live with one in my house. Unaniambia Kambas are not people to be trusted. Yet my girlfriend is Kamba. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So it's all about facts. Umse alikuwa kwa last government, hakuna kitu walifanya. Sasa anataka siti ingine afanye nini? Atatoa excuse gani last time? Atatoa excuse gani aseme last time hakufanya hivi na hivi na alikuwa hivi na hivi? That's why even sahi we have seen politicians trying, vile wamenotice kamenuka, wanajaribu sasa kurudi side ingine. Nakwambia we, si ulisema hivi? Regarding si ulisema polisi hatutakuja kudance, hawakukuja kwa streets kudance. Sasa unajifanya uko na sisi kwa nini? Such sentiments of double speak now. It's you either choose what side you are on. Hakuna story na ingine. Digital social media imekuwa game changer kubwa sana.
And with that also has come, previously people used to be, like I'll pay an MCA to go and galvanize a few people and they show up. And we pay them. Usually it's the paid crowds.
Yeah.
Now, because you can't do that paid crowds, then people who are influential on the social media space like you and others, there are complaints that you're paid money by certain people to push certain agenda. Is that true?
I'll speak for myself. I've never been paid. I've never received money to push an agenda that I know that is going to affect people negatively. Hata juzi kulikuwa na there was kulikuwa tumefika climax fulani, unacheki betting inapiga wasee mbaya sana. Na waelewi, I think at some point IQ ya watu inafika mahali wanafanya betting as a sport, but they are losing money at the same time. Money which they don't have much. So there was a guy anaitwa Cyprian alikuja akapambana nao akasema, I think at some point these betting sites were closed na ikafika mahali hata ikuwa advertised kwa radio. So some guy approaches me, tells me ni aje, chukua hii 200k, tunataka udeal na huyu Cyprian. I told them no. Not that I have money. Mimi am a peasant.
Kwani, was 200 too kidogo for you to fight Nyakundi?
200k.
Just asking.
No, I've been offered much. There was a time we were dealing with minerals. By the way,
Yes.
let me just say this. One of the easiest way Kenya can industrialize. Tuache kukaa kama wase wa GLA. One of the best way Kenya can industrialize is by minerals. Stima tu ikipunguzwa hivi, alafu tupate political willingness, wase wataenda majuu kunegotiate na investors wa dollars. Wakamu wajengeze ma industry hapa. Alafu stima ipunguzwe ndio inaitangwaje?
Running costs of companies.
Running cost.
Yeah.
Zikuwe kidogo. We are going to create a lot of jobs. So one time last year, I was doing a lot of exposing gold companies that are not paying tax, Chinese who are stealing rare metals in the name of sand imepelekwa majuu sijui kufanya experiment nini. Or some gold company from Kakamega comes says chukua 750k tumalizane maneno.
Did you take the money?
I did not take the money.
If they offered 10 million, would
No.
you? No, just asking, Polo.
No, I'm not getting mad. I'm just saying, Mimi, I think point Nico, money cannot move me. Not that I have much, but it's all about understanding yourself. Some of us are contented with the small that we have because I think we understand, ukifika level, you realize this is just money. Sasa juu nikiona 10 million, nitakula mchele gunia 2. In fact, ukiwa na pesa hata appetite itakulanga. I mean, money cannot move me. So I've never taken money from anyone to push any agenda that I know this is going to impact people negatively in one way or another. I've never. I don't think I'm going to.
But money circulates in that influencer's circle.
I mean,
To silence.
clearly, ule jamaa wa State House alikuwa anaitwa nani? This guy whom we gave a platform last year. Alikuwa anaitwa Osama Otero or something. Yeah? This guy obviously alipatiwa zake. And is now a full-time government blogger. But the thing is thinking that now because people are supporting you, usitikie hiyo kaujinga fulani kuingia kwa kichwa uanze kufikiria now you have them by your palms. Umse tulimpatia tu support. In a space was getting probably 150,000 listeners. That is more than any radio in Kenya gets, eh? But now, Pembe, alimia Pembe, these are people who have moved my money. I would say, and among us also, Sisi Gen Z. I'm not saying we are saints. Among us exist people who are hungry. Kuna wase wako njaa. At some point, watafika 2 point fulani wakapatiwa certain amount. Wanaishia. But the good thing is, we're in a certain metamorphosis of evolution. Huyu akitoka, huyu anaingia. Huyu akiingia, afanye mambo yake, nini, anatoka. Mwingine anaingia.
Do you think most Kenyan influencers understand the power they have in changing the political space?
I don't think most do. Most of them don't. I think inawapata too abruptly, and they don't know what to do with it. So in the process, wanajipata wamejichanganya kidogo, and ni hivyo tu inaisha. Nothing more, nothing less. We tulikusikia de fulani, okay, ukafanya hivi, alafu ukaishia, kwani kulienda ngaje? That is what they will be getting told in 2029.
And then there exists another group of influencers who are fearmongers on the other side.
Fearmongers, they're not influencers. Let's call them government. What do you call it?
Apologists, propagandists.
There's a certain name for people who are to pretend they are with you, but they're supposed to corrupt you from the inside. There should be a name for that.
I think it's escaping my mind, but yes.
So those are not people. Those are not with us. Those are at the side of the government. And eventually, time heals everything. Time exposes everything. Tutajua tu.
Okay.
Especially those who are in the forefront in calling others government bloggers and umelipwa ufanye. Baseless allegations, eh? Hata mi kuna time alikuwa ameniambia nimelipwa. They were saying I was paid to expose the mining that was happening. Eh? So nikawauliza na nani? Nimelipwa ngapi? It's nothing but umelipwa. And ikafika point, sometimes I think hatukuwa tumefika mahali tunajielewa proper, because at some point we even had people believing all this nonsense. But hata nauliza nimelipwa, sawa. Is it a good thing or a bad thing that I'm doing? They have it's total nonsense.
And out of maybe curiosity for people watching, so that expose just ended on Twitter.
It
like what there?
I mean, what we have, it's corruption from all the way up. NAMICO, the National Mining Corporation, the what do you call it? The Mining Ministry and Maritime and all that. So I realized even just exposing it's nonsense. Juu sasa watadu nini? Hawa si wana control resources zinafaa kuwa zina deal na hiyo corruption wanafanya. But it's there. And at least people know this is what we have here and here and here. And at some point, should we succeed in this revolution, we are going to circle back to this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kenyan artists generally in the art space. Do you think Kenyan artists are playing a role good enough in this whole idea of pushing for better or good governance?
I'll tell you, it's the small fish. The small, not the small fish. There are people with good content. It's just those who are properly wameintegrate kwa hiyo the artist industry. Some of them are in the government, either by contract, either by either the business they are doing, one way or another, is related to the people who are disturbing this nation. So they have to maintain neutrality, even though they hate it. They have to maintain neutrality. Juu akijaribu kusema siasa mbaya, anapigwa simu moja, unaulizwa unadu nini, na hii kitu ndo inakulipa, ujui penye unga yako inatoka. So those who have not properly integrated in those systems in the artist industry, hao ndio wanabonga. Have you seen somebody like Butita speaking? The answer is no. Churchill? No. Who else? These big names, nobody is speaking. But hao mabeste wenzangu content creators who are even creating proper content than these government apologies, hawa tunaingia nao kwa street almost daily. Most of them don't miss. So these people are maintaining neutrality because unga yao inatoka from the government, from the oppression, from the excessive taxation me and you are going through. They cannot speak. Akibonga unga inamwagika. Yeah.
So are you saying they're in a catch-22 situation?
It's as simple as that. Because even these betting sites, ukicheki, majority of them, na ndio uliona, what do you call it? They call this meetings, juu ya content creators fighting for betting sites. Most betting sites in Kenya are owned by politicians. So ni akibonga, contract yake na betting site inakatwa. Okay?
Okay.
So they have to maintain that neutrality. And we shouldn't really look up to these people. Sisi tuenda tu tukiendanga. They probably join us in the future when they realize this shit has hit the fan.
All right. Let's wait and see. In all this, of course, there are many young people who keep coming out, and they are fought again by young people, some, not all, unfortunately, for maybe taking a side that people don't feel comfortable. Are we then threatening democracy space as also young people by wanting to dictate to others what is right?
I mean, what determines what is right and wrong?
I determine what I find right. So, okay, let me put it this way. If today I joined UDA party, assuming that's, I think, a very interesting example now that I have one color that is almost...
This is orange in your DM.
Okay, you are worse. So if I joined UDA today, then people will start attacking me immediately. Well, in real sense, politics is actually a game of numbers and a game of political parties.
Let me ask this.
But there's also independent, which is a bit we know is... So are we then suppressing democracy for other people, for their choices?
It's very simple. You're either with us or against us. The enemy has been identified. So kama yuko na sisi, kama unaenda kusema wale wase, don't tell us about democracy when you're joining those people who are oppressing. What kind of democracy is that? Okay? So, and I think correct and wrong. How do you determine what is right and wrong?
Very relative, depending.
What do you mean?
But there's, of course, there's the general. What we know, killing is wrong. We don't even argue. But joining a party, a political party.
What is right and what is wrong, from my philosophical point of view, is determined by the level of suffering it causes to an individual or to those being affected. Okay? So if it causes less suffering, if it doesn't cause any suffering to a person, then that is right. If it causes suffering, that is wrong. Let us just put it this way. So kama unaenda kujoin wase, unajua, hii party, hata ukituambia story ya democracy, this party has parastatals by the balls such that somebody cannot get a job. Somebody hata akipata job kwa parastatal, there's a certain amount he has to pay to somebody in a party leader so that he can get their protection and remain in that parastatal for as long as possible. I'm speaking about a certain party, orange party somewhere. Then you're definitely not with us. You're either with the people or against them. Okay? And the good thing is about revolution is they know what they want. They know what they are fighting against. But war is rather different. Nyinyi mnaambiwa huyu ndio enemy wetu. So let's go and fight him. So this is a revolution. Don't tell us about democracy. We know what is where and what is wrong from what aspect and what should be replaced with this wrong. As simple as that.
Do you think, from where you sit, you've been speaking about a revolution, I think from the beginning to now, do you think Kenya can change without a bloodless revolution?
Tough one, eh? What do you mean bloodless?
People dying, it's obvious. Like, it's obvious. For Kenya to gain independence, it was blood. People died, Mau Mau revolution. This is a Gen Z revolution.
I don't think I'm well versed enough on the topic to give a proper staunch answer. Eh? But from where I sit, how the ones we are fighting against are going to respond to us is what is going to determine if there will be blood or not. It's tumewapea hiyo time to think about it. But tukiwashika, mkijaribu kutua na tuwashike haki, the same energy you are giving us is the same energy we are going to give you.
You'll do the aura for aura.
It's only right. Okay? Some of these people hata kuwatuma jela is having mercy on them, to be honest. People, I mean, you hear somebody like, what do you call this guy? Farah Malim. Saying, angekuwa hapo angeua more than 5,000 Gen Zs. What kind of a sane person utters such words? And as a so-called leader, we are going to tell them, if you want to come to us with that angle, you can only come to some certain extent. Sisi tukiamua kurudisha, I've said, tusisikie story na morality. You stay there, think about it, think how you want to approach these Kenyans who you are oppressing, who you are stealing from and telling them to stop and stay at home, watafute kazi na tafuta wapi kwanza. There's no jobs. Mazi saa msi anaenda tao anazuba siku mzima. There's no money, there's no nothing, just a hopeless dust in the air. If you decide to kill these people, you either kill all of them and mbaki na nchi peke yenu mkitumia hizo mapesa mmeiba, or wakiwashika, there won't be no mercy. I think there's a reason that Kamadam from Bangladesh fled. Also, alikuwa amejam sana.
It was bad.
You know, she was giving press statements from India. That I'm still your president.
Yeah.
Wakamwambia kuja. Sasa prezo wetu kuja. Did she go back? I think she's still in India.
You sure you wouldn't dare to go back?
Wale wangempiga mbaya sana atakani shosho. Shosho mjinga sana.
Even foolish people grow old.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they say.
Absolutely. Walindanganya mbaya sana ati an old man sitting sees where sijui kipiko juu ya mti and something like that.
Wachana na your elders.
Let me just leave it.
Okay. So now, do you want to run for any seat in this country?
Tough one, eh?
Easy peasy.
I would say, why not? If in the future, if the outcome demands that I do, then certainly I will.
What would that be?
I
Where
mean-
would you want to start? I mean, would you want to be an MCA,
Mi naeza
senator?
anza- mi naeza anza hata president. Kwani kwa nini?
There's nothing stopping you, by the way.
Something about being a president, it doesn't mean that you have to be well versed in sijui agriculture, economics, water, botany and all that. You just need to be somebody who has critical thinking. Okay? Hata kitambo, when we had kings ati yako wamesoma hivyo. There's a story in the Bible, hata kama I'm a part-time artist. There's like a story in the Bible about David. David alikuwa anachunga mbuzi. David alikuwa shepherd. But God aliangalia huyu msee anaweza examine situations properly and give a proper analysis on the situation without being biased or without making any stupid decision. It's all about having experts who are well versed enough in these areas who can give you a proper analysis that you can look at and say hapa kwa nini umefanya hivi na hivi, and then you have a whole country running. This is not rocket science bana.
It's not for sure.
Hata wasee mnacheki wameenda sijui shule kusomea political science, no, they have turned out to be very stupid. I don't know what they teach there. No, I'm not insulting education, though education is very important.
Very. That no doubts for
I'm
sure.
just saying we have educated fools. Most of them, even I'm not saying even our president has a PhD in botany. Botany unajua nini?
It was the study of...
I think plants. Ni ile ya
Yeah.
kunusia plant unasema this is male or something like that.
I don't think that's what they teach at the PhD level, though.
I mean, you have to look. It's something like that. But
That's why you need to go back to school to understand what it is. Maybe.
But botany, say, despite having a PhD in botany, he allowed. What do you have in Kariandusi? You did geography, Sindo?
Diatomites.
He allowed diatomite ifungwe kwa gunia zimeandikwa fertilizer and be dispatched to people, to farmers. Unamwagilia mahindi hivi maze fertilizer inakauka. That is a person who has a PhD in botany. Okay? So what was the question once again? If I would run for anything, I would start anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. If the outcomes in the future demand I do so.
You will.
Yeah.
And we wish you the very best on that.
Asante sana.
Very random. Who's your best African president living at the moment and why?
I know most people say Traore.
Yeah, but everyone who sat there, 98% has been that.
I mean, I still say the same. The man has decided to stand up against the matrix. He has said enough is enough. He has said we don't want your loans. We want. You know, something about Africa. Wasema Africa ingeendelea kama si colonization. I think they're just educated fools. Because the way it is, we will have who determines what civilization is?
At the moment,
Civilization ni kukuwa na mabuilding mrefu, kukuwa na malami, kukuwa na magari. Is that civilization? What is civilization?
missiles,
It's
going to Mars.
it's total nonsense. If the Mzungu hadn't step foot here, I believe Africa tungekuwa na our own civilization. But now the problem is, even at this particular moment, what we are trying to derive from the Mzungu is not compatible even with our environment. Okay? In a manner that ndio hata morals tunaboro from the Mzungu. Maza unadu kitu hivi na yenyewe inafanya ujinga. Okay? Like petting chihuahuas mnaziseti kwa balcony zinapigwa na vumbi siku mzima mmeenda job. Some of these things are not, this is not us. Okay?
Let people prosper with their pets.
Now unafika hata mahali unacheki msee unasikiza mziki wa Tanzania, but the Tanzania have very good music bongo, but in his mind we ni fala juu unasikiza mziki ya Kenya. Msee akisikia unabonga mother tongue anaona we ni fala. Yeye kutoeng what am I saying? They think they have progressed, abandoning their culture to embrace what the mzungu has displayed to them as how they should be living. Even hata saa zingine nakaanga kwa keja nauliza mama, sasa wewe, she's very prayerful, eh? So namuulizanga, so who is the fool here? Is it not you who has abandoned the gods your ancestors used to worship and embraced that which you were introduced to, that which you were told this is the right person to be worshipping? Who's the fool here?
I wouldn't comment on that either.
I mean,
That's for the listener too. That's a question to the people watching.
I think at the end of the day una realize yenyewe tumefanyiwa social engineering ingine hatari sana. Juu hata ndio unacheki people want to emulate the mzungu so much. Because even the God, ukiuliza nasikianga mtu anasema ati niliota nimeona Yesu. Nikamuuliza huyu Yesu alikuwa mzungu? Kumbe Yesu, it's you know, there are those charts they sell in the streets meandiko Lord's Prayer. That is the Yesu they are dreaming about. The colonization is deep inside the mind. Nitakuwa noma sana. I think I was talking about Traore. Yeah. Traore has decided to go against all these things. Hata nilicheki majaji kwa koti ya ovalishu hizi mawig. What are those wigs for?
I don't remember the name, but yeah.
That is British culture.
Yeah.
We should go back to our roots. This way we can even progress and know this is where we stand. This is our way of living. And I think that man has identified where the rain started beating them. Kidogo kidogo mtasikia, you know, the mzungu came here found us doing rituals. Rituals he couldn't understand. Alipata mse anabonga na nyoka. He can't understand that. So what does he do? He calls that witchcraft. I think there was a what do you call it? There's a mzee in Samburu who died. When this mzee died, a python came to visit his kaburi.
That is for me, that is already strange.
It's not strange. I mean, it's just that you've been in need to think it's strange. It's just sisi to colonize.
Wait, so did the snake speak to, or it just went to the kaburi?
Inakamtu hapo inabangaiza kwa msalaba.
That sounds like a jabba.
No, it's not jabba. I wish it was. Huyu msi hiyo nyoka inakamtu hapo inakaa chini. Haikai chini. I mean, inalala kwa hiyo grave. I think it's saying things it would have said. It's more spiritual.
Okay.
So when the mzungu came here and does not understand these things, I think in one of what do you call this explorer, Christopher Columbus, in one of his writings, kuna mahali anaandika, I've landed in Africa and I have never seen so much gold. I wonder where the mines are. Tulikuanga na gold mob sana. I mean, I think hata sisi ndo tuliintroduce your culture ya kuva ornaments and all that. We were very classic people.
Yeah.
Our civilization, si ati iko imeanza. It was there, but it wasn't heading the direction in which the mzungu has diverted it to. The direction of capitalism, man-to-man society. One man is worth 244 billion and another one here is barely getting any food to eat at night. That is not our civilization. In fact, tulikuwa na kitu inaitwa Ubuntu.
Yes.
A civilization of thriving together. Okay? Na ndio maana at time fulani When Mzungu came and said, I want to buy this mountain, awase walishangaa ufala nasema nini? How can you buy this mountain? It's not ours. It doesn't belong to anybody. Okay? And I think ali suggest 20 shillings. Na akawapatia. Akamwambia wewe ni wako. So in each party's mind, kuna mwenye alikuwa anaona huu ni fala. Huyu amebai mlima 20 bob. Mimi nimebai mlima 20 bob. Mfala ajui nimebai. You know, our civilization was, if we were going to thrive, tunge thrive pamoja. I think philosophical concept yake ukwa I am because we are.
Yeah.
I think ilikuwa translate Kiswahili leo ni wewe, kesho ni mimi or something like that.
Hapana, I find it closer to ujamaa actually.
Ujamaa.
The Tanzanian one, yes.
Okay, but they will lie to you that capitalism rewards those who work hard. Ukiangalia msee wa mjengo, ukiangalia msee wa mjengo na msee anapiga what do you call it? This market rates or something. How I say now?
Forex.
Not forex.
NSC, stock exchange.
Yeah, those ones. Who works harder?
Physically, the mjengo. Mentally, the other one.
So kuna hard work mentally.
I don't know how you want to define it, but yeah, it's brain work.
I mean,
But yeah, I get your concept.
the whole point is, those who work hard only get rewarded the remnants of those who have already established a system that they are making. They are making this. They are reaping this massive, profits from. So what will get you as a hard worker, if you cannot access the other side, unapata tu mabakishi hawa si. It's a wake up call to our corporate brothers, eh? And then unapiga job 7 to 8. All that hard work going to them dosi somewhere and who's just making sure you're doing your work. Okay? So, I mean, we were in Ibrahim Traore. So this is a guy who has known where the rain started beating him. Chinua Achebe says, if you cannot know where the rain started beating you, then you don't know where you are going. So, Traore, very good guy.
That's your guy for Africa.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay, that went to another direction, but all the same, very interesting.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I don't know if you're following the happenings across the world at the moment. Okay. Why do you think US is interested in wars across? Now they're following Iran.
Uh-huh.
They're pushing Ukraine.
You know, there's something called a reserved currency, yeah? I think at the start, it was the pound. Eh? Reserved currency means all currencies, the worldwide currencies are being measured against.
Yes.
So US has the dollar. One time, the money just came as a lighter, to be a lighter, because money is light to carry. Eh? So $1, I think, was equal to a certain amount of gold in reserved banks. So what happened is gold ikiwekwa kwa bank, wewe upatiwe $1, it's almost an equal of the other. Eh? So, but what happened is, at one particular moment, money that was being printed was more than the gold in the reserved banks. Okay, but that is after the pound imeacha kuwa reserved currency, tumeenda kwa dollar. So as it is right now, money in circulation, the dollar in circulation, is almost, I think, 100 plus more times than the gold in the banks. So and remember, the dollar right now is the reserved currency. All money is being measured against the dollar. As it is right now, the dollar is only surviving because people have faith in the United States. Okay? That is why even US has so many military bases everywhere. Okay? The US must show it's powerful. It can still, it's still the prefect of the world, and the dollar is also just stable. And this way, they can even print more money out of thin air and bribe and do whatever they want. That is why they have a very high budget in the military. Okay? So I think US causes war. It's the only way they can survive economic-wise. Nothing more, nothing less.
So it's a war interest. It's a survival rather interest.
It's a survival, but it's no longer. We have seen this script before. There was the Ottoman Empire, there was the Roman Empire, there was all that. The US is just like any other empire. And in fact, America, the way it is, America was a very great mistake. It's a country that has no future. How long has America been in existence?
To, I think, 50 something now.
I mean, like, when was, since it started to be America?
Yeah, it's 200 and something years.
250
something, actually. I need to confirm that.
I give it 400 years. America will be history.
In 400.
Yeah.
I wish we would be living. Maybe we will have reincarnated as.
It's not, I mean, sahi technology imekam sana, unaweza kuwa preserved mahali uamke after 400 years.
Just to confirm.
Wana preserve brain yako.
Okay.
So you might just wake up in another body or a robotic body. I mean, technology inakam vile inakam.
Okay. Bora they wake me up in a safe, better Kenya. I shall be fine.
Mami sidhani naweza taka kurudi.
Unataka one off and you go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to know what is in the next realm. If there is another realm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We will only find out when we get there. Finally, your message to Kenyans as we count down to 25th June. That's just a few hours away. And maybe about tomorrow.
I mean, it's all about understanding why you are fighting. Youth ana job, youth hata shule hawezi ingia, hakuna mahali hawezi rudi ocha juu pia ocha mazie hakuna do, mzazi pia anaumia, hakuna rent ndo hiyo, food itapatikanaje. It's all about understanding these problems. Alafu wakikama hapa nje wenye wanafaa kuwa wana deal na hizi issue, it's not like they don't have the capacity to. They just don't want to. Okay? Probably because hii do inafaa kuwa inafanya hivi ilitumika mahali. Na hataki ajulikane, aulizwe hii do ulipeleka wapi, that would mean he'll have to face the consequences of this action. It's all about bringing justice to these people. Hata wenye wameuliwa because they're exposed to these things, they deserve the justice. And as it is right now, gava imekata kupatia wase justice. Albert Ojwang ule jamaa, the one who ordered his prosecution, is still walking free. And they want to prosecute a small fish somewhere because watuonyesha we have done this. But nothing is getting done. I think it's understanding all these problems, all this thinking of causing these atrocities come from the head. And the head is none other than William Ruto. That is just my message. Huyu ndio wanaume yote. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Polo Kimani, I don't even know how to end the show at that point, but we appreciate your input. Thank you for coming through. I am sure a lot of our viewers have learned a thing or two. And maybe people who didn't know you actually talk besides typing.
I do talk. It's just that they don't watch my videos because probably they think I'm... voice yangu kuna vile saa zingine nakuanga ni kama nabonga kana nataka kulala.
Maybe you could say that. But thank you so much for coming through for this episode. We will see you, of course, in the streets tomorrow.
Tupatane kesho.
And stay safe.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching today. Of course, it's been fun. I'm even confused on the words I'm supposed to end with. But stay safe. And of course, I hope the government takes care of the citizens tomorrow. We'll see you on the next episode. And remember to subscribe if you've not. And we're also on Spotify. Do follow us there. See you then.